Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the December 5th meeting of the Lorain County Board of Commissioners. Commissioner Kalo has our dog from the Lorain County Dog Kennel this morning. He wants to go for a walk. Aww.
Listen like my kids. Our featured dog this week is a 1.5-year-old boxer mix male. He was found on Butternut Ridge in Carlisle Township, so this belongs to one of your guys, Barry. He'll be available adoption at 3 o'clock on Saturday. We had a great weekend. We've only got 24 dogs right now, and we adopted out 21 this past Saturday. So that's wonderful for our dog kennel. So please stop by, and if he's not quite the dog you want, we've got plenty more for you.
Need to thank all of our volunteers and rescue groups that work with us over at the dog kennel, because they really help us get in. When we get full, they get in there and try to get us as many dogs adopted. But that has to be a record. That was a lot of dogs. 21's a lot of dogs to be adopted. So thank you to all those that helped us. Madam Clerk.
At 9:45 will be a budget hearing from Dennis Willer, Prosecutor. Under Resolutions Number 1, Job and Family Services Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
No investments, appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Advances and repayments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Travel.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Mr. Cortez.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. I do have a few possible hire actions at Job and Family Services I'd like to discuss with the board. An update on our labor negotiations is possible. Also, a potential purchase of real estate, a potential sale of real estate.
I would say.
Both.
Both.
Both?
Both. And so you set me off track there, Commissioner. All of those issues allow for executive session discussions on the Sunshine Law, so I would ask at the conclusion of our regular board meeting today, we go into executive session to talk about those items. Thank you.
Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the same in the County Commissioners meeting minutes from the November 8th, 2012 a.m. and p.m. meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
Approve payment of $2,370 to Lewis Monument Company, Elyria, for fabrication and placement of 6 permanent veterans grave markers for Frank Clarence Smith, Matthew Olcott, William Edward Ruth, Henry Perry Jr., Henry Hogue, and Stanley Glass in Elmwood Cemetery, Lorain, in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code 5901.34.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Approve and enter an agreement with Architects Lorain to perform acoustic, remediation, and architectural services for the Transportation Community Center in the amount not to exceed $10,800, which includes reimbursable expenses to be paid from the professional services account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr.
Yeah,
Cl-
thank you. Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Thank you to our county administrator and Karen Davis, our special projects person, so we can deal with the sound issues in our train station.
Let me point out at this point that this will not be general fund dollars, so I know we're always concerned about
Right.
where the funding's coming from. We still have funding for work on the Transportation and Community Center. So what I think we need to do is recognizing that the acoustics are working perfectly fine for what the building was designed to do.
In the 1900s.
Prior to,
with the bullhorn.
Yeah.
Prior to amplified
Amplifiers, correct.
equipment being installed. So we do have to wrestle with the issue of how to keep the aesthetics of the building proper when trying to dampen some of the reverberations that are going on. One of the easiest issues was to immediately carpet the floors. That would really stop a lot of that bounce, but then again, that takes away from
the facility.
the facility. So we're hopeful that people that deal with this specifically will have some ideas. At the very least, we're going to try to dampen the air noise from the handlers into the main room with some baffling and get that designed in there.
Wonderful. It's a great facility, but it really needs some help when it comes to when you're speaking there, holding events. It can be annoying and hard to hear the speakers.
When you get in it too, Jim, let me know. That's what I used to deal with, was actually sound.
Well, why don't you come on down?
So,
Well, when we get ready for the walkthrough, it may behoove us to have you go with them.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Under Job and Family, authorized purchase service agreement with Emerge Inc., Avon Lake, to provide internet services to the agency website for calendar year 13, effective January 1st through December 31st, 2013, in the amount not to exceed $14,000. Authorized director to execute and amend for changes in program and content and increase the value on behalf of the Board of Prosecutors' approval as to form.
So moved.
second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Under sanitary, approve and enter a renewal agreement with K.E. McCartney and Associates, Inc., Mansfield, to perform miscellaneous sanitary water and storm water engineering services for the county on an as-needed basis effective January 1st, 2013 through December 31st, 2016, to be paid from the professional services account.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Under solid waste, approved 2013 open dump enforcement agreement with sheriff for the cost not to exceed $177,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Under Children's Services, authorize various additions and deletions of personnel to utilize the agency's credit card for the year 2012, not exceed $25,000 for telephone, gas, and oil, minor vehicle maintenance, and emergency repairs of county-owned or leased vehicles.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Under the engineer, advertise notice for bids for Oberlin Avenue resurfacing Phase 2 waterline replacement project in the city of Lorain. Notice to be in the Chronicle on December 7th and 14th and open at 2 p.m. on January 10th. This would resurface approximately 8,665 linear feet of 3-lane roadway from West 30th to West Erie and replace the existing water line on Oberlin Avenue from Mice Road to West 23rd Street and construct new dual 8-inch and 12-inch water line from West 23rd to West Erie Avenue. Estimated cost is $5,667,400 paid by federal and city of Lorain.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Do you want to do the prosecutor?
Yes.
Prosecutor Dennis Will, budget hearing. Ready?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Dennis.
Morning. I am Lorain County Prosecutor Dennis Will. It's my understanding, if I'm not the last, I'm one of the final people to come over to speak with you about our upcoming budgets. We submitted our proposal, I believe, on November 19th. which is pretty succinct to where we are at in our funding levels, our staffing levels, and our needs. Since in 2012, we reduced our staff by 2 prosecutors, 2 investigators, 2 victim witness advocates, and 1 secretary. We are down 11 total employees since we started suffering the budget crisis in 2008. Our workload has not gone down in the sense of either the number of cases or the courtrooms we are required to staff. Our present funding level, okay, is 2001 levels, so 2012, we're receiving the same amount of unsubsidized funding that we had in 2001. With the increase that I'm asking, which is approximately $300,000, it would bring us to the 2004 level. So we're still only 3 years up there, and I think that's about the same levels where your office is funded, about the 2004 level. And basically, we cannot continue to operate with less and less people and less services for any number of reasons, not the least of which is Columbus sees fit to send us more and more work, change the laws, which create more and more documentation and or requirements for us to document, and more crime is being committed in Lorain County. I had them checked just before I walked over here, and presently we have 15 homicide or murder cases pending, and of those 7 are capital, and we have another one coming into the system. Those are cases that eat up time, money, and resources, and there's little or nothing we can do about it at this point with all of the requirements that we are required to both procedurally and case law and forensic things that we need to do with it. And so the bottom line is that we have cut everywhere we can. We have sought assistance through federal grants, which we have 2 prosecutors on that are expiring. There is no more money there that we can find. We have partnered with the Sheriff's Department on some of those grants, which were able to help us to be more efficient in a number of areas. And we will continue to do that. But the bottom line is we can't continue to operate on a 2001 level. We have 6 courtrooms. In 2001, we had 5 courtrooms. When I got here, we had 5 courtrooms and a visiting judge, and now we have a 6-time full-time court. And all of them, although they work very efficiently, I believe, to try to keep the dockets down, that we're still required to maintain those dockets, and we're still required to do our job. And with that, I will answer any questions you have.
Dennis, how many new bodies are we looking at? Replacing the ones that you're down, those 7?
What we're looking to do with the increase, we would fund 2 existing prosecutors who are no longer going to be funded by federal grants. So if I don't have those funded, I lose 2 more prosecutors in the criminal division. Hire 1 prosecutor in our civil division. We would still be down another prosecutor, but we've been operating too short in there since we let people go and we lost Bob Flanagan. And it would remove another prosecutor who's going to be coming off a federal grant. And it's kind of a unique arrangement because it was split over a course of a year. So we had 6 months last year, 6 months this year, but we're going to lose that. And then finally, our staff has not had a wage increase for the entire time that we've had this tight shortfall, and I'm losing people. I have 2 people leaving my staff right now going to work for the newly elected judges because they can pay them $20-some thousand more than I can. So I still have to find people to work for the level that we can fund at. And although people are happy to have a job in this market, it doesn't prevent me from having people, pirated away because I can't meet the funding levels that other people do.
Well, you gave me a number. Would you have 11 attorneys under $50,000 a year, or at $43,000? You had some number that was really amazing.
Well, we have it in here.
I brought everything else except the cover letter.
We have 30 prosecutors, and 11 of them are being paid less than $50,000 annually. Our staff has not received a wage increase for a few years, and staff reductions have totaled 11 during the past few years, going from 81 employees down to 70. And we went through, trust me, okay, there's other jobs in this county, and I'm not criticizing what anybody else has paid, but there are other jobs in this county that will pirate my people away because they can pay more, and they're not going to come and do the workloads that we require them to do as assistant prosecutors when they can make more money, okay, doing probably a less stressful job, although not any less important, and that's what we're running into. Same thing you see going on in the police departments where they're having all these lateral transfers. A lot of people like to go to Avon because Avon's doing fairly well right now. Well, around here, what you see is the better prosecutors' offices will pirate your people away if they have money. And even here internally, when the judges offer somebody a job as a magistrate with a $20,000 increase, I can't match that. I don't begrudge anybody improving themselves, and so they depart my office and go to a better job. So.
You want to go over the two other budgets at all?
What's that?
4D and 4E at all,
I was
Dennis?
thinking about that, 4E. Didn't we take the money from your budget and put it into 4E some years back, or vice versa? No?
Yeah, that's all reimbursable.
That's all
That all
reimbursable?
Correct.
comes back
Okay.
to us, but it's always like 6 months behind in
It's always,
when we get
right,
reimbursed.
there's always a catch-up on that, and that's why sometimes we actually make out better, because we get that carryover, and there's a benefit to you guys. It's just, sometimes you could save like about 30,000. Other than that,
So you're saying from, if you were to get the complete increase, you would be going from 11 people down to 7 people down, or 6 people down?
yes, roughly 7 people.
7 people, okay. All right, well, you're one of the last people, I think. Who do we still have left, Teresa?
That's it.
That's it?
That's
You're
it.
You're it,
We'll have
huh?
numbers coming hopefully
Yeah, we were,
next week to review.
we hope.
Correct, with the Budget Commission and the reevaluation for revenues for next year. Today. Okay, so you'll be able to get
Both
those.
budget commission meetings today, so.
This
It was
afternoon.
rescheduled, yeah.
Yes. So,
Okay.
Well, we know you've been working with a lot less people and a lot more cases and tougher cases, and, you know, we'll take that into consideration when we look at our budget for next year.
and these people did take the 15%
Thank you.
cut in '09 or '10, the 15% cut.
When you, that was the year that we got it right away. That was in '08, 409. And so we had to
409,
put that into
correct.
effect immediately. And that's when we reduced our work hours. Everybody across the board, we had collective shared sacrifice, and we all took the 15% cut. Reduced our hours, reduced our salaries. And that's how we survived that year.
Right.
And then we started cutting after that, and we've cut everything we can. So, okay, thank
Appreciate
you.
what you do, thank you.
Mr. Cortez, County Minister?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I do have one piece of action for the board that I'll pass you. We're working on trying to spend down our CDBG funds. We had some problems getting the bids from folks. We had to actually call people, try to get them to come and quote on our work. So I want to thank the Community Development Department for staying engaged with that. Otherwise, these funds are not going to be expended, and they were pretty aggressive with this, but I wasn't able to get it to the agenda. They just got the quotes yesterday. You can take a look through it, and I would ask that you consider a resolution approving the use of these CDBG funds for home repair so that we can move forward with exhausting those funds for the community.
Well, Jim, while I've got you, and Commissioner Williams is looking at that. Talked to Deb Kansas this morning. Did you have a chance to look at that BFI bill?
They're still working on it. The Keith's here. I mean, they had a,
It's due in a couple of days. It's like $450, and we don't. She doesn't know if
Right.
she should pay her.
I think I-
looked into.
I did communicate with Sandy yesterday. I'm just not sure I caught up with Deb over at the courts yet, and I got a response from Keith.
Yeah,
yesterday.
it should be done by November 1st. We should be picking up under our contract, under the contract we have with Republic.
From November
November
1st.
November 1st, yes.
Oh, okay, so a month
So-
back.
Right.
So
Oh,
I
okay.
think we're all
Deb,
right.
Don't write the check.
Don't,
All right?
Don't write the check. Thanks, Keith.
thank you.
And they-
Keith, well, I got you up here. Keith, come on back. Well, I got you up here, and I'll just, if you want to read name,
Go
I'll
ahead.
just get
Sure,
into my stuff.
absolutely.
We got the commissioners' meetings this starting Sunday, Monday, Tuesday in Columbus. I got the updated legislative work. Did they schedule the EPA director or not for our meetings down there?
He is scheduled on Monday, I believe, afternoon
Okay.
for an hour and a half of his time. He will be there.
Okay. Do we have a game plan on how we're going to address that, or are we just going to let him speak?
We're going to let him speak, and then he's going to do questions and answers. So I will
Okay.
get your questions written down.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to make sure.
All right.
You want me to finish my report?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Also, we took care of BFI. We took care of that. We had our Team Lorain County meeting this morning. Went very well. Nice update on the REX Regional Economic Competitiveness Strategy. Also spent a couple hours with Grace Gallucci, the new Executive Director of NOACA, talking about not only the nominating committee issues coming up, but also in regards to a master plan, a 20-year master plan, which will actually tie into our Team Lorain County presentation because of infrastructure needs, which Mayor Brindle brought up also. And that was a lot of our conversation, and Ms. Gallucci and myself are on the same page, and there's a few other board members who've been engaged for a while who'd like to see a 20-year plan where we decide about where the best land use is and infrastructure dollars being pushed in based on community needs, where all the communities would then put their plan together in Lorain County, bring them up to the Board of Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners then would present to NOACA on where we think our next 20 years are going to be. So we're not just doing shotgun approaches to, you know, adding a road here, picking up a road here. The engineer's office is extremely involved in those type of things, but I thought it was nice planning. And a nice update from our land bank director, Pat Metzger, about additional homes coming down. You want to come up and give us a little update here, Pat?
Sure. As of today, we have agreements in place, I think, with 5 communities, and we have 3 more that are slated. We're speaking presently with Oberlin, South Amherst Village, as well as, who's our third one? Oh, well, we're going to have our agreement in place with Elyria as well, because we have a house coming that's going to come down within a week, probably up here on East Bridge.
So get your Smitty's burger, your pop, and sit outside and watch them tear down a house.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's a doctor's office next door in case you're not feeling good, you know. We're also working very closely with them on another project, just where South Abbey and, you know, North Abbey kind of jog. There's also some progress being made as far as providing projects through City of Lorain. We probably have a minimum of 20 that may come to pass very beginning of January. So we'll have probably 30 homes down mid-January already in the project, in the whole dam bank project. So it's moving along pretty quick, starting to gain some momentum and get some gravity, and I expect it's going to keep going that way.
You said townships are engaging with us now?
That's correct, yeah.
So
And we had success over here in Elyria Township, and we're also spoke to Carlisle, I think, briefly. So we're going to move forward with as many as we can. Avon Lake is also getting their legislation in place. What this has done is it's kind of caused some of the localities to start looking at their unsafe building laws and really update them so that they can, at least locally, start taking care of some issues as well.
Wonderful.
So, thanks.
Good news, thank you.
We have one of them going up today, Pat. We have one of them going to sheriff's sale today, right, that we're looking at?
That's correct. I don't want to get too much detail, but since you mentioned it, it's a trailer park over here on South Abbey.
We're trying to clean up that wonderful, beautiful trailer park
By rallies.
behind Rallies there, and unfortunately, it was further down the continuum before we became involved with the property. While the condemnation process is unfolded,
Yeah.
fairly okay. There was a few that were missed that had to be notified. We weren't able to get it back.
Sure, it's
before that.
really unsafe and it's unseemly. I mean, there's 25 trailers there that have been stripped down to nothing, and we're ready to go. We'll put up a sign today if the sale goes correctly.
Right, if it goes correctly, we'll be able to get in there and do, we've been running concurrent processes with all of these. So keep your fingers crossed this morning, because I think at 10:15,
10:15?
it's there. That would be a real good project on that corner. It's terrible over there.
Yes, it is.
We're-
It's an eyesore.
And the
Yeah,
one next to
going down.
Smitty's is going to improve that area too, right there with that home.
That's
So
a huge building, that house next to Smitty's.
And we have another one in
Nice piece
Eaton
of property.
Township.
That's correct. That's the other one I was reaching for, is Eaton Township had brought this to us. It's a burned-out, dilapidated place, and it really needs to come down.
So we're starting to gain momentum. If you're driving around, you see something worthy of a project, we can communicate with that political jurisdiction.
Sheffield Village, that's the other one.
We have
So-
two up there, but they keep giving extensions to that gentleman.
One had an extension, the other one's for sure. Our sign's going up probably today.
Beautiful.
Now, the one in Eaton, one in Elyria Township, the second property that we did, we're finished, the bids are out, the environmentals are done. They've given the gentleman a period of time to take the property down himself, and if that isn't accomplished, we'll be ready to go back in on that property.
Sure, March 2nd will be involved if he hasn't had time.
Well, we
Now-
also have from the federal level, it was in the Plain Dealer this morning or yesterday, Steve Latretti, even the outgoing congressman, in the budget they're working on, is looking to get,
It's $100 million.
anywhere up to 300 million might have been the part I read.
That's the
being
big part.
pushed into a budget to go towards communities do additional demolitions because there's not enough money to fix those neighborhoods. And I guess, if it doesn't get approved this year, there are co-sponsors to carry it into next year to get dollars back to the communities also for demolitions.
Right, I mean, we're doing pretty good with demolition dollars right now because there's a lot of companies looking to pick up this work through some down periods. It's the redevelopment of the properties
Right.
that are going to take considerable amount of money. A lot of these are not going to be desirable lots for redevelopment, looking at side lotting with them. It's interesting to grab a commercial lot where the trail park is that can possibly have some potential for good redevelopment. And I know the city of Elyria has been working on some issues with that. We're going to be good partners with them on that redevelopment.
Well, that piece next to Smitty's how is that?
It has
zoned?
some potential, but there's property available in that corridor that's been for sale for a substantial amount of time.
Okay.
And some of the lots, as we found out when we're doing our NSP funds, are not suitable for redevelopment. The one in Elyria Township doesn't meet their current,
That's correct. No
their
zoning.
current building standards for the size of lot to put another home on. So you can't really even do infill housing on the lot. It's really only good for side lotting. So we're going to find a lot of times we're going to take these homes down, and even if somebody was interested, because of current standards, they're not going to be able to build on these lots. And that's why we've developed the procedure of taking out the curb cuts and repairing all those and doing that, because we don't anticipate a lot of that building coming back in there. So it should be moving forward pretty quickly with regard to the projects. One of the goals of this is not only just to tear houses down, but it's to incentivize homeowners, not homeowners, but property owners to either do the maintenance or tear them down themselves.
That's what they've got.
And this is what's occurred with the one in Elyria Township. So the goals and objectives are going to be accomplished whether we're in there doing it or the homeowner has been persuaded to go in and make the adjustments that are necessary.
And it helps fine tune the process for everybody, because, I don't think anybody's taken such a close look at this until now they need to. So,
Thank you, Pat. You're doing a nice
Sure.
job up there.
Yeah.
thank you.
Really proud of what everybody's done so far, as far as land bank goes. And
I'm done with my report.
okay. Well, like Ted said, we had our Lorain County, Team Lorain County Board meeting this morning. Monday, I had my Goodwill Board meeting, and they're down a little bit in sales and in drop-offs, but I told them this because I haven't been shopping much lately. I'm usually an avid Goodwill shopper, but so if you have things going through your closets and wanting to get rid of some items, make sure you drop them off at Goodwill. And a lot of times I see those Planet something boxes around, and people are dropping off bikes and beds and all kinds of different things that don't fit in the box. So don't forget that there's Goodwill out there, and they take all those kind of donations. So make sure you remember that and shop there too. They have a lot of good things. Somebody in the paper just recently got a painting that was worth like $8,000 or $9,000. It was reported, and they only paid like $12 for it. So you never know what kind of treasure you might find there too. So, and as a commissioner, I was out of commission a couple days this week due to a bad cold, and luckily it's going away. So you had it too.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible.
Miserable.
All right, that's the end of my report.
Well, at Goodwill, I just dropped off a bunch of stuff for
Good,
the
good.
year-end tax deductions, so.
Nice.
and definitely get out there before the end of the year so you can get the tax deductions as well and also help that organization. Yesterday I met with ODOT, Tim Begum, the project manager. Interesting conversation. We were going over the proposed lease of the turnpike. Report hasn't come out yet. He did want me to remind everyone that the turnpike would not be sold. They're looking at a lease of it, and it's a 30 to 50 year lease. That's the first time I actually heard that, 30 to 50 years. Went over a lot of details as far as the errors that were made in Indiana, plus the benefits that they had. But the report should be out hopefully by the end of the year. My concern was that everyone would get a copy of the report before a decision was made. It does have to go to the legislation for approval. And then we got into the economic talks of it. And
Question for you, Tom. Wait a sec. The legislature gave up their right. The governor can just enter the contract. He
That's
doesn't
what-
need the legislature.
according
That
to
was
Tim,
legislation.
I brought that up. He told me that no, it has to go through the legislation.
I think he's incorrect, because that was a
Okay.
major part of this a year ago. They
Well,
gave
that,
up their ability
that's
to
the reason I
legislate.
brought that up with them, and he told me, no, it does
Call him
have to
back to
go through.
recheck. Call him back. And we actually did tie into that while you got that part. Actually speaking with Grace Gallucci and Beth Thames yesterday from the senator's office, that Grace feels that the MPOs should all have the ability to look at that also when it comes out, because they're the experts in it anyway.
Right.
So I think NOACA is going to send a letter asking to see the report before any decisions are made. And I think Akron and Lucas and,
Toledo.
that's Lucas.
Yeah. Oh,
And then
yeah.
the MPO in Franklin County are going to get together and send a letter out, because it's all bipartisan at that point, because we're a mixed bag, to take a look at the results and what the study shows also.
Yeah, I also asked them to give a copy to the Commissioners Association, the Township Association, and give,
The Farm Bureau?
yes, Farm Bureau has come out against it pretty
Yeah.
strong, so, but they give like a 30-day window to allow everyone to review it and then provide feedback before they would take any actions. He couldn't guarantee that, but he said he would take it back to the governor. One thing that did come up was that the majority of the revenue from the lease of the turnpike would go back to the 13 counties. Now, as far as is that 51%, 60%, the details haven't been worked out on that. So just wanted to kind of give you an update on it, and that they are going to send us the reports to let us take a look at it before legislation goes through. That's what he claims,
Okay.
legislation. And I'm missing some stuff, but end of my report.
Okay, do we want to go back to Mr. Cortez's report regards to the
Oh, yes,
resolution that
that's
we
right.
need to
Did
pass?
I give that back
No,
to
we don't
you?
Need a resolution, just a resolution to approve.
I will make a motion to approve.
I'll
Did I give that
second.
to you?
No, I don't have it.
Here it is. It's all this right here. Did I get second?
Yes.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kalo?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Cortez, did you have anything else?
I do not, thank you.
Mr. Ennis, Assistant County Prosecutor?
Commissioners, I do have an update regarding a matter of pending court action that I would like to provide to you in executive session.
Board correspondence.
Move the reading be waived.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Mr. Kalo?
Aye.
Public comment?
Anybody wishing to speak about any subject? Seeing Keith?
Last Thursday, we were invited down to EPA, myself and the deputies, to talk about scrap tire law. Just before we left to go to Columbus, we let Bill drive so Mickey and I can rest. Old men are tired, you know. And we get down there, and there were many of the deputies from around the state. Assistant prosecutor from Franklin County was there. We also had AG's office and members of the EPA. some of the research I did before we left about our scrap tire problems here in Lorain County, we have a lot of pending cases going on right now. They're in the court system on illegal dumping of scrap tires. But some of the information I found intriguing from our perspective, in 2009, we had 1,029 tons of tires come through our system at our drop-off points. And when I sat down with Mick and Bill back in 2010, I said, guys, we got to get control of these tires, and we're being infiltrated with a lot of tires we shouldn't be getting. And our numbers started dropping. We dropped down to 833 tons we managed in 2010. Then 2011, we're down to 330, even with all the ag tires we handled. So our illegally dumped tires and our abuse of our system is stopping, thanks to the deputies and their initiatives on illegally dumped tires. And I'm getting phone calls now from the private contractors that manage the licensed contractors, and they're seeing an uptick in the usage of their businesses. So that's good. So,
Wonderful.
It's working.
All right.
Yay.
thank-
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, I move we go into executive session as outlined by both the administrator and assistant county prosecutor.
Second.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Kalo.
Aye.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.